They say hard work always pays off. That kindness is a strength, that if you stay true to your values, the world will eventually reward you. But what if that's a beautiful lie? Look closer. In every boardroom, every political stage, every empire that's ever risen and fallen, there's a pattern. The people who climb the highest aren't always the kindest. They're not always the hardest workers, and they're almost never the fairest players. Sometimes, the ones who win are the ones who play dirty. They lie, they manipulate, they push others down to rise up, and the world lets them. We watch it happen again and again. From ruthless emperors in ancient history to modern CEOs with million-dollar smiles and billion-dollar scandals behind closed doors. And whether we like it or not, their rise forces us to ask a question most people are afraid to say out loud. Is the world rigged in favor of the worst among us? Maybe it is. But maybe that's not the whole story. This isn't just about villains winning. It's about how power really works. In nature, in society, and in you. Because beneath every act of cruelty, every grab for control, there's a deeper truth. One that philosophers like Nietzsche tried to uncover. A truth about morality, survival, and the battle between who we are and who we must become to win. So before you judge the game, understand the rules. And if this truth already feels like it's cutting too close to home, take a moment now to subscribe to Mirror of Being. Because this isn't just a video, it's a journey. And we're just getting started. Now, to truly understand why the worst people often rise, we need to look at the origin of power itself. Not the kind taught in leadership books, not the kind praised in graduation speeches, but the raw, unapologetic kind, the kind that rewrites history. And to do that, we have to go back. Back to a battlefield where morality was born, not out of goodness, but out of conflict. Back to an idea so bold it redefined what it means to be strong, what it means to be human. An idea called master morality versus slave morality. Picture a battlefield, not of swords and shields, but of souls and ideas. On one side, the conqueror, fierce, decisive, unshaken. On the other, the servant, cautious, hopeful, clinging to virtue like armor. This is where morality was born. Not from heaven, not from divine truth, but from power. Friedrich Nietzsche, one of history's most misunderstood philosophers, proposed something radical, that morality is not universal, it's not a compass handed down from the gods, it's a weapon forged in the fires of human conflict. He called it master morality versus slave morality. These are not just philosophies, they are two lenses through which the world has always been divided. Master morality, the will of the strong. The masters, the rulers, the warriors, the creators of empires, they do not ask for permission. They don't measure right and wrong by how others feel. They create their own values. To them, goodness means strength, ambition, honor, and the ability to shape the world according to their will. Weakness is not evil. It's irrelevant, something to overcome, not to protect. The master does not justify himself. He defines himself, and in doing so, he defines the world around him. Slave morality, the voice of the oppressed. But what of those who couldn't conquer, who lacked the strength to lead? They didn't disappear. They adapted. The powerless, the slaves, the servants, the subjugated, forged their own morality. But theirs was not born from power. It was born from pain. Unable to win by force, they won by narrative. They redefined virtue as the opposite of their oppressors. If the strong were proud, they preached humility. If the rulers took, they taught self-sacrifice. If the masters conquered, they sanctified suffering. This Nietzsche claimed was not morality from truth, it was morality from necessity. A moral system built not to elevate, but to survive. And survival, while noble, is not the same as transcendence. The hidden cost of slave morality. Here lies the uncomfortable truth. Slave morality, for all its virtues, does not stop the rise of the ruthless, it enables it. By shaming ambition, by demonizing power, by glorifying suffering, it leaves the throne empty, waiting for the one person who dares to claim it, while the noble-hearted hesitate, hoping the world will be fair. The strong-willed, the cunning, the unapologetic, they act. And in a world where hesitation is death, the bold inherit the earth. But here's the twist Nietzsche wanted us to see. Neither morality is pure. Both are responses to power, one from dominance, the other from survival. So which path should we follow? Do we embrace the master's ruthless strength? Or remain loyal to the slave's quiet virtue? Maybe. We need a third way. And if this exploration is resonating with you, if it's making you question everything you've been taught about power, virtue, and success, don't just watch in silence. Subscribe to Mirror of Being, because in the next chapter, we're going even deeper. We'll uncover the psychology of those who rise, and why the line between strength and sociopathy is thinner than most people dare to admit. The jungle never left us. We just learned how to wear suits. Behind polished speeches and pristine smiles, the old game still plays out, raw, ruthless, and real. The battlefield has changed. It's no longer fought with swords or shields, but with strategy, branding, charisma, and silence at the right moment. But make no mistake, the predators are still here. They sit in boardrooms. They walk red carpets. They shake hands with presidents. And they win. Not because they're the smartest, not because they're the most deserving, but because they understand something the rest of the world tries to forget. Nature doesn't reward goodness, it rewards adaptability. The nature of power. Think of a lion. Does it apologize when it takes a life? Does it hesitate when prey is within reach? Number. The lion does not second-guess its hunger. It simply acts. Now think of a storm. Does it care who it destroys? Does it weigh fairness before it floods? Of course not. A storm does not ask for permission. It is. In nature, power is neutral. It is not good or evil. It simply flows to those who can wield it. And as much as we'd like to believe that civilization has tamed us, the jungle lives on beneath our skin. The psychology of the ruthless psychologists have long studied the traits that define those who rise in high-stakes environments. And again, they find a pattern: high ambition, low fear response, strategic empathy, not emotional paralysis, and most controversially, a reduced sense of guilt when pursuing goals. These people are not all villains. They are not all monsters. But many of them share one quiet truth. They are willing to do what others won't, to make hard decisions, to walk away without looking back, to seize the moment while the moral wait for permission. While most people flinch at conflict, they thrive in it. While others drown in guilt, they move forward. That's not necessarily cruelty. It's an evolutionary advantage. Controlled ruthlessness versus chaos. But here's where the paradox sharpens. Not all ruthlessness is the same. There is a difference between mindless destruction and controlled detachment. The former burns everything in its path, driven by ego, fear, or trauma. The latter is surgical, cold when needed, calm when tested, unshaken by the storms of guilt or indecision. This kind of strength doesn't mean abandoning morality. It means understanding the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. In a system that rewards boldness, the hesitant are forgotten. In a game where power is taken, the kind must learn to play without surrendering their soul. So, what do? Do you abandon your values to keep up with the wolves? Number, you evolve. You learn the rules. You train your instincts. You wield power like a blade, with precision, not rage. That's why this message matters. That's why Mirror of Being exists, not to preach, but to awaken. If you're still here, it means you're ready to go deeper, and trust me, what comes next will change everything. Because ruthlessness might help you rise, but it rarely helps you last. The real challenge is not getting to the top. It's staying there without becoming the very thing you once swore to destroy. And that brings us to Nietzsche's most radical idea, the Übermensch, the one who doesn't play the game. He rewrites it. At the edge of everything you know, there's a cliff. Behind you, comfort, convention, safety. Ahead, the unknown, the untested, the terrifying. Most people stand there forever, waiting for a sign. But a few, they leap. These are not the ruthless. They are not the manipulators, the tyrants, the hollow conquerors. They are something else entirely. Nietzsche called them the Übermensch, the overman. Not a tyrant, not a brute, but a person who transcends the traps of both weakness and cruelty, who rises above not just others, but themselves. Beyond good and evil. The Übermensch does not cling to borrowed morals. He doesn't wait for society to hand him a purpose. He doesn't ask the world to be fair. Instead, he creates. He defines his own values. He sculpts his life like art, with intention, discipline, and raw inner fire. He is not bound by fear. He is not ruled by shame. He does not need to crush others to feel powerful, because his strength is self-generated. While others beg for validation, he walks alone, not in loneliness, but in liberty. This is the difference. The ruthless take, out of insecurity. The Übermensch builds, out of vision. Power reclaimed. So is power evil? Power is truth. Power is potential. Power is the ability to shape your life instead of being shaped by it. But power without wisdom is fire without direction. It burns everything, including you. That's why the Übermensch is not a beast. He is a bridge from what we were to what we could become. He doesn't reject strength. He refines it. He doesn't abandon morality. He redefines it, not as submission, but as creation. A new kind of success. In a world obsessed with dominance, the Übermensch plays a different game, not to control others, but to become whole. He doesn't wait for a system to reward him. He doesn't beg for fairness. He creates meaning where there was none. He becomes the cause, not the effect. This is the way forward. The world doesn't need more tyrants. It needs creators. It needs you, not ruthless, but resolute. Not blind, but awake. Not obedient, but free. Your next step. If you've made it this far, this isn't just a video for you, it's a mirror. Not one that shows who you are, but one that reflects who you might become. So the question is no longer, why do the worst people win? The real question is, what would happen if the best of us stopped waiting and started rising? If that's you, if you're ready to take that step, then this is your place. Subscribe to Mirror of Being, not because we promise answers, but because together we ask better questions. Share this with someone who needs to remember their power. And above all, don't wait for the world to change. Change yourself, and the world will follow.